everyone, and welcome to the semifinals of the StarCityGames.com Richmond Open Weekend. Cedric Phillips and Craig Krempels, we are here in the booth. Nick Miller is down in the feature match area. You can see him right over Ross's shoulder as he's writing up the backup feature match, excuse me. And we'll see if we do have the opportunity to move to that backup feature match. But for right now, we turn our attention here to Ross, Merriam, and Benjamin Nikolic. It's Elves, it's Jeskai Control. And we are underway here as the Cavern of Souls is naming Elves. The opponent is not Benjamin Nikolic, it is James Foerst, and he is playing Grixis Death Shadow. For Ross, he's going to search up a Temple Garden here.
And we're going to see what's in James' first hand. I would expect him to have a Fatal Push if he kept this hand. Otherwise, it would have been a turn 1 discard spell, a turn 1, Serum Visions. It's possible that he only has Thought Scour. But I would be surprised if he doesn't have more than that.
I would be surprised as well, as Dirwin Sleet's going to make an Elf here. And now we're going to see Heritage Druid add some mana. That is another elite.
Jeez.
And what Ross is doing right now is he's just dumping his entire hand on the battlefield here with maybe some stuff in reserve, and says, James, you can go ahead. James may have been saving a Fatal Push for something like an Arc Druid.
Yeah, there's no great target to Fatal Push here.
So instead, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power on the battlefield here for James. And we're going to see if he's going to go down to 17 or 19 here. He's already gone down to 19 because of the sack. And a lot of the times you just want to go lower because he is playing Grixis Death Shadow. He's going to go with the Steam Vents. Not a land you oftentimes see Grixis Death Shadow search for first. You typically see Watery Grave, but that means it's going to be a Thought Scour that's going to head James' first way.
And if he's just kept a slower, clunkier hand here, not a lot of efficient removal, if he thinks that he just needs to go after 1 or 2 important spells, or 1 or 2 important creatures, he's going to get punished for the maximum here.
We head back over to James after a little Thought Scour action, put a Polluted Delta and a Sleight of Hand in the graveyard.
With a draw like this, you don't want to be banking on Terminate to take out a Lord.
No. Terminate has been made irrelevant, basically. This is just one of the aspects of Elves. We've watched Ross a couple of times here, and we've seen him go Infinite with Devoted Druid and Vizier, and that's an aspect too.
Yep.
There's the Collected Company, Court of Calling Azuri aspect of the deck. This is the other one, where I've played against Elves before, where they just say, whole hand, turn 2, go. And, it doesn't have to involve a Lord, it can, but it can just be whole hand, and let's cross our fingers.
Yeah, pretty effective strategy. And, First wasn't able to kill anything on the board on turn 1, and now he's going to tap out on turn 2. So if Ross does have a payoff card like Azuri or the Archdruid, James is just in a whole boatload of trouble.
Well, Terminate's going to take down Heritage Druid. That's going to slow down Ross's mana development. He's going to quickly untap. He'll draw a card. We'll see if he does have some sort of Lord here, or if he wants to go towards Collected Company. Collected Company it is. That's going to resolve. Top 6 cards here for Ross. There's at least 1 Archdruid in there. I also saw a Heritage Druid, a Devoted Druid. Let's make it 2 Devoted Druids. So I think Archdruid's the easiest one to take.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks like he's going to take Heritage Druid as well. And what was going to be an attack for 6 became a lot more than that.
And it looks like just another lightning-fast game, this time with no overrun.
Oh, what is this? Okay, Dirwin's elite. Fair enough, which means another Elf on the way. And it's an attack for 3, 6, 7, 8.
And James has had enough.
No more.
Can't blame the man.
Yeah, there's too much. I mean, even if you were to play like a Death Shadow and a Gurmag Angler this turn, because he's at 8, so Death Shadow will be relatively large, Ross is just going to say, attack you, hope you die, and that will work.
Yeah, he had so many creatures. That was a fun start.
Well, look, if that's how the matchup goes, and at least maybe that's the plan, then this matchup might be good.
Yeah.
For Ross, who knows, as he does win game number 1 here over James Foerst very quickly. You see the timer, it's 4 minutes ticking up, so it didn't take very long for Elves to win game number 1 here over Grixis Death Shadow. We'll go to the sideboards, though. You got to imagine James has got some things in this matchup. 3 Ceremonious Rejection, not so much. 2 Teamer Battle Rage, perhaps, along with 2 Liliana of the Veil, 2 Nile Spellbomb, 2 Young Pyromancer, 2 Collective Brutality, a Stubborn Nile, and definitely a good one there in Liliana the Last Hope.
Yeah, I expect a light amount of sideboarding here. I like the 2 Collective Brutality. I like the Liliana the Last Hope. A lot of these other cards just aren't high impact enough for me. I would hate to have a Teamer Battle Rage in my opening hand when playing against Elves. it's just not a card that you want sticking around.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. This is going to be kind of an interesting matchup here for James, how he wants to sideboard. Because, the other Stubborn Denial is kind of interesting to me, too, where I don't want to draw too many of those.
Yeah, it's tough, like you're saying. You don't want to stare down at two of them, especially if Ross just has this go-wide strategy.
Yeah, what we just saw.
Yeah, and you're forced to tap out to deal with that. You have to react. You have to. They put the pressure on you, so you have to do something. And then he resolves his spells anyway. Well, you've got Stubborn Denial in your hand. That's the nightmare.
For Ross, 3-Path Exile, 2 Chameleon Colossus, a Rest in Peace of Stony Silence, a Fracturing Gust, a Burrington Forge Tender, the Selfless Spirit, a Kataki War's Wage, an Even Mind Censor, an Eidolon of Rhetoric, a Reclamation Sage, and a Scavenging Ooze. Chameleon Colossus is the obvious one.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that jumps out to you here that he wants?
I think Rest in Peace is just high impact enough against all of these Grixis Death Shadow decks. It negates so many of their cards. I would like to bring that card in. Scavenging Ooze is very similar to the Rest in Peace, where it can attack the opponent's graveyard while also being a threat. So that's another card that I like. The question to me is, does Ross like the Path to Exiles a lot in this matchup? I can see them being quite good because the Death Shadow decks generally only deploy 1 or 2 large threats a game, and being able to take them out efficiently and keep attacking can be great.
For some reason, I don't want a lot of those. I would maybe board in 2. I don't think I would want all 3. Part of the reason I feel that way is because you are a collected company deck.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you still do have a high density of creatures to be able to do your thing. You're also going to be boarding a Chameleon Colossus, which is a card you can't hit off collected company.
Yep.
So, you obviously want to make company be as good a card as possible in the matchup. Now, doesn't mean Path is bad. Path is still probably quite good. I just don't know if you want all 3.
Yeah, you're a collected company deck and you're a synergy-driven deck.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time that you draw a non-elf card, you're weakening your synergies just that much.
Well, these players are going to take a look at each other's deck list here. One of the things that you do get in top 8 is access to the other person's deck list. So we'll very quickly talk about SCG Game Night here, where in the month of August, it'll be Puggernaut Pins and Tokens that'll be featured. Our playful pup that won't be walled off. In September, it'll be a little stinky, thanks to Smell Snare, Pins and Tokens. In October, we will take a look here at Vampire Night Fox Pins and Tokens. Go.starcitygames.com/game night for more information. Find a location close to you, and for our store owners and tournament organizers, if you'd like to become a part of SCG Game Night, make sure you do talk and contact your StarCityGames.com in-store programs representative as we get ready here for game number 2 between Merriam and Foerst. Looks like players are getting ready to take a look at opening hands here.
Yeah, please don't feed our creature collections.
What did you say?
Won't turn out well.
Don't feed them?
Yeah.
You don't know that.
Do you really want to be trying to feed that Puggernaut?
Kinda.
What would you give the Spell Snare?
Nah, I'm not messing with that thing.
Yeah. How about the
I will mess with the Vampire.
Night Fox?
Yeah.
Don't get bit?
I already kind of live in the dark anyway.
Yeah, you kind of
I'm a
do.
night owl, so wouldn't be so bad. James going to start things off with a more traditional start here for Death Shadow, which is fetch for a Watery Grave, fall down to 17. And I think we might see a discard spell here in Thoughtseize. So 15 is a good place to be on turn number 1 in Modern for Grixis Death Shadow. For Ross, it's a collected company, a Court of Calling, an Elvish Mystic. Looks like it might be a second company in the middle, 2 basic Foerst, and a Deerwinds Elite.
And this is already a much better start for James Foerst.
Yes.
Turn 1, get all the information about your opponent's hand, strip a key card out of it, and he's dealing himself a bunch of damage, which we know the Death Shadow decks like to do.
What to take? What to take? That is the question.
Yeah, a lot of this depends on what the rest of James' hand looks like. It's possible he just wants to slow his opponent down enough by taking this Elvish Mystic.
That's what he will take.
Yep.
A little bit risky just because Ross's deck is so redundant, but removing some of the mana from the deck. He doesn't play a ton of lands.
Yeah, not a lot of lands, and it's possible James just has enough ways to kill future mana producers.
A Blood Crypt untapped into a Young Pyromancer is an interesting second turn here from James. We'll see if the 2/1 can churn out enough elementals for it to be good. As here's a Direwin's Elite, which is just a 2/2, doesn't even bring an elf along with it. As we head back over to James, looks like he picked up a copy of Death Shadow.
Yeah, that's a fine creature.
0-0 now, but I think we know how this whole song and dance works.
And this whole game might be setting up very well for Foerst, where Ross's hand is just glutted with these more expensive spells. He doesn't have the cheap elves to power them out, and James is able to control the game before all of those expensive spells get resolved.
righty, down to 11 via Blood Crypt. So Death Shadow is going to be a 2-2 right now. It's 2 mana. It's Collective Brutality with Escalate. And along comes an elemental token as well.
And it looked like he discarded a Temur Battle Rage, but he has moved it off camera.
Yep. So the elite will be taken care of.
Oh.
He discarded a Gurmag Angler.
Okay.
And now it's interesting to see what card he wants to take. 2 companies and a cord for the duress portion of Collective Brutality. He'll take a company. And now there's a Death Shadow and an attack here for 2. So it's actually a really good start here for James.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of threats on the board. Ross is way behind with nothing going on.
Oh, yeah. That's a Foerst. Ross will just have to pass the turn back. Now, he did draw land number 4, and land number 4 being a Cavern of Souls is pretty interesting. Going to be able to make his threats uncounterable. We'll be able to name Elf, and, you know, Chameleon Colossus is an elf and a bunch of other things, too. So that big fella is going to resolve it, looks like. Here come the beatdowns, though. In for 5. Merriam down to 13.
Not the most impressive beatdowns.
We've seen better from Death Shadow. Liliana the Last Hope. It will plus, actually will minus.
Yeah, minus.
Me.
I like getting back the Gurmag Angler here.
Big fish back in hand, pass the turn back. Merriam will draw.
And the graveyard just got filled up with a couple more cards, so it's easier to cast the Gurmag Angler next turn.
Very true. Now Ross has the option here of playing Collective Company right now. Opponent tapped out, hope to hit the best. Don't know what the best is in this situation, but he can definitely hope for the best. Or he can just play Chameleon Colossus and set up a roadblock. I think he's going to go with the latter. Pass the turn back. Now, as great as Chameleon Colossus is, doesn't get through red creatures so easy.
Nope.
So Young Pyromancer and the elementals that it generates could be problematic here. We'll take a look at Chameleon Colossus.
One of the things that's interesting, though, with the changeling ability, it being an elf, if Ross ends up with a whole bunch of mana this game, he uses Azuri, it'll end up with Trample.
That's true. Hey, that's fun. Okay. Didn't even think about that. Now, Craig, do you know what set Chameleon Colossus is from?
Oh, jeez. I played so much of these sets.
I know. Here's the Thoughtseize, by the way.
Going to be another Collected Company gone.
Yep. Death Shadow going to get a little bit bigger, too. And there should be another elemental token on the way, so long as James did remember, which he may not have.
Ooh, that could be important later.
That could be very, very important, folks. And he is shaking his head, so you can tell that he forgot his trigger for Young Pyromancer. The answer to your question is Morning Tide.
Yeah, Morning Tide.
Yes.
Oh, we just got sidetracked. I was going to say that.
Oh, you were going to nail it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hope I'm not wrong about that. That'd be embarrassing. In.
A little Lorwyn block.
Now, this is an interesting attack. Kind of love it, actually.
This is an interesting attack.
So 2-1 into 4-4. Now, remember, players have access to each other's deck list. So Ross might be able to figure out what's going on here. The card in question is Temur Battle Rage.
Yep.
A card that we can take a look at as well.
And yeah, James is saying that chameleon is so important. It's so good on this board that I'm willing to trade 2 cards for it.
Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Now, it's not ferocious. It's just 2-1. But giving the Young Pyromancer double strike means it would hit it once for 2, hit it again for 2. 2 plus 2 is 4.
4, look at you.
I know.
On fire.
I'm definitely on it still.
And it would be ferocious.
Would it be?
Well, there's the Death Shadow over there.
Target creature can also gains, and if you control. Oh, okay. Then it would be ferocious. Okay.
No, insignificant.
2-1 trample. I thought it was only if the creature you're targeting was ferocious. So my mistake there. But yes, a 2-1 trampler.
But irrelevant either way.
Yes, 2-1 double striking trampler. Sure. It would kill the Chameleon Colossus. It would also generate a token as well if James did remember the trigger. And it looks like Ross is just going to take the damage.
And this very well is setting him up to just die next turn.
Mm-hmm. Here comes Gurmag Angler. Going to delve away a bunch of cards. Temur Battle Rage, the card left over here in James's hand. Liliana going to go up past the turn back. Can't target the Chameleon Colossus given its pro-black nature. Ross will draw. Is that third company?
It looked like a collected company. That's one of the few cards that could just keep him in this game.
Mm-hmm. Ross is going to sacrifice a Windswept Heath as we can update you and let you know that Kazu Negri did win game number 1 here as Blue-Red Gift Storm up a game over Jeskai Control. Craig, you would think you would learn from last week of
I don't learn, sir.
picking against a deck that plays against the same matchup. Kazu out to embarrass you.
Yeah, you would think I would learn, but no.
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 No. Maybe in the finals, we'll see if Kazu makes it there.
We don't learn here at SCG. You want the same mistakes, you've come to the right place.
We got the guy.
Yeah.
The guy for that.
It's only game 1.
Mm-hmm.
There's still time.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see what is Ross searching up here. He sacrificed the Windswept Heath right away. He drew a Collected Company for the turn, and his other card in hand is a Court of Calling. He's going to get a Temple Guard that's going to enter the battlefield tapped. Not sure if he's going to attack or not. And it looks like he's not going to. Going down to 10 might be a little bit risky as we head over to James. Remember, James missed that token last turn from Pyromancer. That could be one more attacker that he could have. We'll see if it comes back to hurt him right now.
Yeah, and Ross is looking to punk out his opponent here. He's saying, just attack with everything. I'm going to be dead.
Well, I think James's assumption is he can cord for a card.
Yeah.
And that card that he could cord for, actually he can't. Well, in theory he could cord for a Darwin's Elite, but he would have to tap Chameleon Colossus to do that. So it's Collected Company, top 6 cards. Nettle Sentinel is among them. Another Colossus he cannot take. As much as he'd love to, he's not allowed. So it looks like it's going to be Nettle Sentinel. And another elf here. Yep. So James right now is at 9. 13 minus 9 is 4. So Death Shadow is a 4/4. I'll see how Merriam wants to block in this situation. If Ross has correctly read his opponent for Teamer Battle Rage, which might be the only card he needs to play around right now anyway, he'll have to figure out the best way to block.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The best way to block, if the opponent doesn't have Teamer Battle Rage, is put the Colossus in front of the 4/4 Death Shadow. Hope your opponent doesn't have any way to deal themselves damage.
Mm-hmm.
And just eat it. And then you have the 1/1 on the 2/1, the 2/2 on the 1/1, and you're taking 5. But with a Teamer Battle Rage, you know, that 5 turns into 10 and you die.
Yeah, so now the blocking gets kind of interesting because if you say Chameleon Colossus in front of Death Shadow, 4/4 in front of 4/4, but yours has Pro Black, you throw the 1/1, in front of, you know, Gurmag Angler or whatever, and you do it like this. This is fine. Teamer Battle Rage on Gurmag Angler means it'd be a 10 minus 2 is 8 plus a young Pyromancer damage would put it so that Ross goes down to 1. So this is kind of interesting. Here comes Teamer Battle Rage, yep. Gonna make a token.
And I like this a lot because the token comes along with it.
Me too. So damage. On the first strike, little trample. The Death Shadow is gonna bite the dust. So it's only a 4/4. And now this leaves Ross at 1.
Staring down 3 attackers.
And a Liliana that can get back a Death Shadow. So let's make it 4 attackers. Get that back. Recast it. And now I'm trying to think of what Ross can draw to get himself out of this outside of, you know, 4th Collected Company.
Even that, I think he's drawing dead here.
You think so? 4th Collected Company it could be Darwin's Elite plus a blocker, which means he'd get 3 blockers.
Sure.
So he could live. Let's see what he draws. Didn't get a great look at it.
We're both tilting our head a little bit, trying to get a better look.
Did not get a great look at it there. Ross really slow to the battlefield this game. Chameleon Colossus obviously very good. A really, really good card in the matchup. But young Pyromancer and the fact that it was making some red blockers actually ended up mattering quite a bit here. So Merriam needs, I think, some sort of mistake on the opponent's side. I'm not sure James is willing to oblige.
Yeah, and Ross just had this very clunky draw where his turn 1 mana elf got stripped from his hand. So his first play was a turn 2 Dwin in his Elite that immediately died. Didn't bring a token along with it. He had nothing on turn 3. Turn 4 Chameleon Colossus, just way too slow.
Yeah. So James Foerst is going to win game number 2 here over Ross Merriam. Grixis Shadow Elves going to get ready here for game number 3. As James was able to put a pretty good draw together there. Young Pyromancer definitely playing a role in things. Liliana the Last Hope too. And as it oftentimes is said, those sideboard cards are there for a reason. He even drew a Collective Brutality, which mattered as well.
Yeah, the Collective Brutality was great. The Teamer Battle Rage ended up being quite good. I thought that card might be too situational, but he found the situation that he needed, able to trample over a small creature for a whole bunch of damage.
So you see the sideboards here. Maybe play draw will change some things. Now, we're not sure if Merriam has boarded in any copies of Path to Exile or not. May have been helpful that particular game. Maybe he just didn't draw any of them. Maybe he'll board them in on the play. But we know Chameleon Colossus is in the deck, which does make a lot of sense. And maybe we'll even see a card like Scavenging Ooze as well.
Sure. And on the other side, I hope that James Foerst doesn't get results-oriented, where the Chameleon Colossus was a problem on the other side, so he starts thinking, oh, maybe Liliana the Veil is a good way to fight back against it.
Sure.
Because there are just so few situations where that Colossus is going to be on the board by itself.
Yeah, that situation that we saw there was kind of few and far between.
Yeah.
With the Colossus being there by itself. So we'll see. We will see. Is Ross going to take a moment to step away, which means we'll do the same and learn about the StarCityGames.com YouTube page, where you can become one of over 120,000 subscribers, where you can watch Split Second, hosted by Star City's own Jeremy Knoll. You got the Versus series with Brad Nelson, Todd Stevens, Todd Anderson. So that's Todd Light and Todd Weiser right there, along with Ross Merriam and the boss, T. Ross, your SCG Tour Player of the Year. You got Commander Versus with Jeremy Knoll once again, along with Jonathan Suarez, the American Dream, Stephen Green, and the host of the show, Justin Parnell. Magic Online Playtesting with Sam Black, who just came off another Pro Tour Top 8. Jerry Thompson, your Pro Tour Omnicat champion. Sean McLaren, Ari Lax, Pro Tour champions in their own right. And some of our other content producers. Not going to name myself because who cares about that. Best of SCG Tour. We've got some great moments for all the years of the SCG Tour and a whole bunch more. Subscribe today at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Become, as I mentioned, one of over 120,000 subscribers as we're getting ready here for game number 3 between an empty chair and James Foerst.
Tough opponent.
It really is. James is trying to stay composed here in what is his first SCG Tour Top 8. So congratulations to him, already making a nice name and run for himself here with Grixis Shadow. He chose a good deck to play, obviously.
Yeah, and I really liked his line in that second game. We saw him miss a token activation. He seemed to realize it later. Fortunately, it didn't matter in the game, but everything else was very clean. He definitely had a game plan. He knew how he wanted to play out each turn, and a very effective strategy ended up taking down the game.
Even the attack with the Young Pyromancer into the Chameleon Colossus with the Teamer Battle Rage, that's a smart attack that some players may miss in a high-stress situation like this.
Well, and that attack is what dealt just enough damage to force Ross to make a worse block the next turn.
Absolutely. So getting that damage through, obviously a very, very big deal. And that's why James is able to tie things up here as he waits patiently for Ross to return. So we'll take a moment to learn a little bit more about the StarCityGames.com newsletter, which is your source for Magic the Gathering news. You'll see Ross in there because he has some highlights from some of our very best articles each and every week in the SCG newsletter. Upcoming SCG Tour dates and locations, SCG IQs and game nights near you, so you can find some close in-store play near you, along with an exclusive Cardboard Crack comic. Best of all, it is free to sign up for it. Go to StarCityGames.com/newsletter. And I'm sure we'll have some highlights of this tournament and the breakdowns of this tournament, as this top 8 a little bit different than last weekend in Syracuse, Craig.
A little bit different, still exciting. Some of the decks you expect to see, some of the decks you don't, and it just shows this constant shifting, changing landscape that is the modern metagame.
Which we do love. Obviously, we've got 2 Jeskai decks, 2 very different Jeskai control decks, a Gift Storm deck, a Scape Shift deck that was not as all in as some of the others in the hands of, Becky Adelman, who was playing a little bit of a white splash for Path to Exile. We also saw some interaction there with Anger of the Gods. Dan Musser with Eldrazi tried to go back-to-back, but he wasn't able to. And then we had Zachary Alexander playing Affinity. Ross here playing Elves as well. And then, of course, James playing Grixis Shadow. So diversity is the name of the game. We've been talking about it the past couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll be talking about it again when we cover more Modern.
Oh, yeah.
Unless something changes with the arrival of Ixalan.
Yeah, each new set is exciting. Modern is great. Very powerful decks, very diverse decks. I love seeing some of these tribal decks do well. Last week it was Merfolk. This week it's Elves. We'll see what it is in a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, and here's hoping Ixalan maybe shakes up things for all formats. Obviously, it's going to shake up Standard because a new set has to with the rotation. But let's hope that it brings maybe a little something to the table for Modern too. I think what's kind of unique about that set is we don't really know what to expect. We know there's pirates and dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean,
and don't know anything else. So
if I can take down a big Modern event with some cool pirates, I'll be having a blast.
That'll work for me. Ixalan, the pre-release happening September 23rd and the 24th. So that means that it's almost preview season.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah, we're finishing up Commander 2017 preview season, and then Ixalan preview season going to be here in a hot minute. Hopefully they start off maybe a little, it looked like Vraska's in the set, so I'd like to see us start off with that if we could.
Ooh, Vraska.
Well, that's Vraska. Not great.
Little black-green planeswalker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a pretty good Vraska.
It's tough. The planeswalkers are tough from a development standpoint.
Yeah, I don't envy them.
You want to make all of them just exciting and unique, but it's such a fine line. There's this tipping point where you just make it just a little bit better, and then it's too good.
Yep. It could be the loyalty.
Yep.
It could be how much it starts with, how much the activations are, all of that stuff. Thinking about Nicol Bolas from Hour of Devastation, we were all kind of scared of this might be too good.
Sure.
Because you can hit it with Marvel, which fortunately that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But this thing, Nicol Bolas and the world that they developed with Hour of Devastation, thought was this card's going to be absurd, and it's not great yet. Maybe it will be in the future.
Yeah, like you said, there's a rotation coming. The card pool is so big right now. There's tons of really good cards that don't even see play from some of the older sets. All of that stuff is going to get dropped off the back end, and maybe Nicol Bolas will find his place to shine.
Well, players are going to take a look at their opening hands. It'll be Ross Merriam who'll be on the play here for game number 3. I'll see if he can find an opening hand that he liked. He got his hand picked apart via discard, had a slow start, had Chameleon Colossus, a great card in the matchup, but it was not enough to beat James Foerst.
Yeah, and he had a hand that would have been really exciting if he was on the play. His turn 1 mana creature wouldn't have gotten stripped out of his hand. He would have been able to start resolving collected companies or chords ahead of schedule.
Darwin's Elite would have brought Nelf along with it.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what would have been discarded, but whatever happens, it would have been much better for him.
Away we go. It's a Cavern of Souls, a Llanowar Elves, and it's game number 3 here in our semifinals.
Yeah, lucky start.
James is going to start by sacrificing a Scalding Tarn. It'll likely be 17 here for your Death Shadow player. And likely be a Water Grave as well as he quickly searches through the deck. There is your Blue Black Dual Land. James will shuffle and present back over to Ross, and we'll be interested to see what his first turn play is. Perhaps it'll be a discard spell, or it could be a little bit of manipulation. Either way, he does have something to do on the first turn, and it is a Thoughtseize that's going to bring him down to 15 again. Very similar start to last game. The hand here from Merriam is a 1-lander, and he doesn't have any colored mana. So you see an Elvish Mystic along with the Llanowar Elves, a Scavenging Ooze, a Chameleon Colossus, and the very powerful Rest in Peace if he can get it down. What this hand, Craig, is very susceptible to, in my opinion, is Young Pyromancer.
Yeah, Young Pyromancer is a good one, and this is a start that James has that's more like the second game than the first game, which is important. He needs the early interaction. He can't just let Ross do whatever he wants over the first couple of turns.
Rest in Peace is going to bite the dust. And we're going to head over to Ross. He'll untap. Can he draw lands? Looks like he picked up a copy of Elvish Visionary. He says, I'm just going to drop some Knuckleheads past the turn back. We're going to go over to James.
Yeah, and Ross's play here, get 4 mana on the board and just threaten the Chameleon Colossus next turn.
I think that's a smart place to be, as there's a Young Pyromancer, which means he'll get the opportunity to resolve Chameleon Colossus here if he'd like to take it. Also picked up a copy of Collected Company, so he could go that way as well.
That's a good one. His opponent's tapped out. I could see that one just happening here, too. Ross really wanted to see another land just to make his life a little bit easier, but I think this was better for him.
Here is Collected Company. You see a Path to Exile that he's went by. And now there's an Azuri, and there's an Elvish Mystic. So he gets a little bit more mana, and he's going to pass the turn back. And now I'm curious to see exactly what James can do on his turn. How good can it be? He's going to take a look at Azuri, and we can do the same. Remember, Azuri says regenerate another target elf. Cannot regenerate itself. But the overrun, well, the overrun works on it and everybody else.
Even chameleon classes.
Indeed.
You want to block with those elemental tokens? Too bad.
That's right. Gonna run right over those.
Although I don't expect Xuri to be long for this world.
I would be surprised if it lived, as we'll see a polluted Delta get sacrificed here.
You know, this is kind of a free turn for James, where he doesn't have to kill it this turn, because Ross is so stuck on mana. He wants to spend the next turn deploying more threats or the chameleon classes, so he can take this turn off, develop his board some more if he wants to, and then make sure he deals with his Xuri next turn.
It's a basic swamp there for James. He's going to fall down to 12. Death Shadow's online. What do we have here? Kolagon's Command, it looks like. That's going to take care of Xuri. I think that might make Ross discard a card as well. So there goes Xuri. And there goes Elvish Visionary. Pass that turn back. Merriam will untap. He'll draw. Didn't get a great look at the draw step. It's a Windswept Heath. Got a better look at it now. And we could have Colossus plus Scavenging Ooze here. There's a Temple Garden.
Yeah, I think if he gets the Ooze on the board this turn, he wants to leave the mana up and just activate it a whole bunch of times.
Any particular reason?
Well, it would immediately shut off any of the Delve creatures,
Okay.
which is important, and it also takes his opponent off of potential Snapcaster Mage targets.
Well, he's going to play Ooze and Colossus in the same turn and pass the turn back. I like this line of play from Ross because I don't think he cares that much about the Delve creatures that could be played.
Okay.
Because he has a Colossus.
Sure.
So he's okay with that. There's a little bit of fear about Snapcaster Mage, but Push would kill Ooze anyway.
Yep.
They have access to each other's deck list. I'm not sure if he's got Bolt.
Nope, no bolts.
Okay, so Push would take care of the threat either way, and I think it's really important for him to just get him both out there.
Sure.
Not have to worry too much about Kolagon's Command. Or Thoughtseize or Inquisition, whatever discard spell he could have. But again, it's kind of unassuming when we looked at the deck list, but Young Pyromancer, man.
Yeah, seems good. Ooh, this seems real good.
This seems even better for James now.
Yeah, if 1 is good, 2 is great.
2's got to be really, really good. He's going to go towards Thought Scour. He's going to target himself. He's going to get 2 tokens. One is a Tarn. 2 is a Thoughtseize. Draw a card. It's a Thoughtseize.
Well, it's a good thing Ross played his hand, that's for sure.
Yep. Another 2 elementals here. Here's a Serum Visions. He'll scry 2, Sleight of Hand, and I think Stubborn Denial. So he can look like a Legacy Grixis Delver deck now.
Yeah, I like the Sleight of Hand a lot here. The Stubborn Denial is not online, so I don't know if I'd be interested in that card. But just, yeah, getting to churn through 1-mana spells over and over and over, it's so good.
Well, he's kept them both on top, so he's got a little bit of interest in Stubborn Denial as Ross is going to untap. And he will prepare to draw a card. He can kind of free roll here with a Colossus attack, but, Colossus really not going to be able to do a nice job of getting through.
Yeah, it's just eat 1 elemental token. Yeah, and I didn't think Young Pyromancer was going to be this good in this matchup.
I didn't think it would be this good either. It's actually, it's kind of interesting. It's like almost this weird natural trump to Colossus.
Sure.
Because without Young Pyromancer, they can't block Colossus.
Nope, they can't get it off the board.
Yeah.
They can't block it.
Yeah. It's just, it is essentially game over in a lot of spots. On Ross's end, he really can't get Young Pyromancer off the battlefield.
Yep.
So we're playing this weird game of one-upsmanship. And, last weekend when we were in Syracuse, Colossus started showing up on sideboards, and people, I think, picked up on that really quickly.
Sure, yes.
That this is a way to go about beating Death Shadow they really have a huge issue with.
And James Foerst is showing that he's on top of the metagame. He recognizes that shift, and he's updated his deck to reflect that.
Ross is going to come in here with Colossus and Scavenging Ooze. Ross has 2 creatures in the graveyard. So basically what he's saying here is, look, you want to kill my Scavenging Ooze, it's going to take 4 blockers?
Yeah.
Or do you just want to do some chump blocking? And I would prefer this if I'm James, which is chump block. Ross is going to follow up, play a Nettle Sentinel, and he'll simply pass the turn back over to James. James will draw. Picked up that Stubborn Owl that he really wanted. Now it's time to churn out some more tokens. Serum Visions will bring along a Scry 2, a card he already knew about in Sleight of Hand, and maybe most importantly, 2 Elemental tokens. He's going to keep Teamer Battle Rage on top, so he's got interest in that.
All right, he's got to have a fatty in his hand right now.
Yeah, I think he's got Angler.
You see, he kept the Stubborn Denial, and now he's kept the Battle Rage.
Okay, well, it's actually Death Shadow that he's got.
Pretty good.
It is a 4/4. Now here's Sleight of Hand. 2 more.
Just elemental tokens for days.
Yep. Teamer Battle Rage, Thought Scour. I just kind of want to keep chaining.
Yeah, the question he has is, am I going to be able to go wide enough to get through this Colossus?
He's going to take Thought Scour.
And, his answer is yes.
Yeah, I think so. Comparing this to Legacy, I think that he just plays the Young Pyromancer game now.
Sure.
I think that's a really great place to be. Ooze is going to go eating some stuff now.
Yeah, the only issue he really has is if he just runs into a couple lands in a row, and Ross is able to establish a board with, another Azuri or a Lord or something like that.
Yeah, because the thing that James does not have right now is a removal spell.
Yep.
He's got a Teamer Battle Rage in hand, sure. He's got, well, actually, I think he shifted that to the bottom from the Sleight of Hand.
He did, yeah.
But he's got Stubborn Denial.
Yep.
And so Ross's best draw right now might just be literal Azuri.
Yep.
Not Cord, not Company, just Azuri. Ross is going to go munching on some cards here. Slow that graveyard down a little bit for Delve and for Snapcaster Mage. Now he's untapping with the Ooze and the Colossus. Time for him to draw. I wouldn't, if I'm Ross, I wouldn't dislike something like an Arc Druid. I don't think that's a bad draw. It's just not the best draw right now.
Sure. Yeah, it's still one of his better draws. It's just not the best draw.
Right now for Ross, the ability to turn Chameleon Colossus into an 8/8. But he's just going to pass the turn. James Foerst is going to have his Young Pyromancer targeted by a Path to Exile, but a Stubborn Denial says absolutely not. So, 2 more Elemental tokens.
And really good play out of both players here. I think Foerst had Thought Scour in his hand. He didn't do it at the end of the turn just to make sure that he had the Stubborn Denial. The fact that Ross just didn't go for the Path to Exile right away, also really smart. He gave his opponent the opportunity to tap out.
We might see the Thought Scour now, though. We do. 2 more. Hope we don't run out. Blood Crypt, Snapcaster Mage, draw a card. Bloodstained Mire. A Thoughtseize, a Snapcaster Mage, and a Bloodstained Mire in hand here for James Foerst. The Thoughtseize basically dead at this point.
Yeah, not a great card. Even the Snapcaster Mage, not very good staring into the Scavenging Ooze.
Pass that turn back. Let's do a little Scavenging Oozing, shall we? Merriam going to gain a life, go up to 20. Now he's going to do this one by one as James is going to fan out the graveyard. So Ross is going to take care of a lot of these cantrips here. See if he wants to leave Stubborn Denial or not. Nope, Stubborn Denial's got to go too. And now Merriam will untap. Keep in mind, Cavern Souls doesn't tap for green for Scavenging Ooze, so can't use that one, but can use all those Mana Elves and that Temple Garden. Ross will just pass the turn back. Again, it's going to really come down to Azuri here, as James is going to sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire. It leaves down to 8, could go down to 6 if he'd like.
Well, and I think James is pretty close to the point, you know, 2 or 4 more tokens. He can just start shipping all the tokens in there.
Let's bring it on.
You know, I'd say, all right, you eat 3 of them with your 2/2, your 4/4, and your big ooze. And the rest of them come crashing through for a bunch of damage or trade with some elves.
I think that's why the Archdruid is so important.
Yes.
They're 2/2s. Things change a little bit.
Well, and the Archdruid would tap for near infinite mana if an Azuri comes behind it.
Yep, also true. And you see the way that James is lining them up. He might be thinking what you're thinking.
Yeah, he's thinking about this.
It's a wall of Dylan Donegans that look like they might want to attack. Draw didn't get a great look. Thoughtseized, Snapcaster Mage, Mystery card in hand right now for James Foerst.
And Ross is only sporting 2 lands over there, so if he starts trading some of these mana creatures off, it can be a big problem for him.
4 p.m. Legacy players, please report to your play area. Your next round is ready to begin.
May have been a Kolaghan's Command, which is never a bad draw. It's going to Thoughtseize, fall down to 6. Response? Okie dokie.
Oh, that's a good draw.
That's a real good draw. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not the best chord we've ever seen. Or excuse me, not the best company we've ever seen. But it was a good draw.
Yeah, he'll take it.
Yep.
The creatures are definitely important here. Got to keep up with all of these tokens. You know, James just thought seized for nothing.
Yeah, dealt himself 2. Curious if he still wants to do some attacking or not. Remember, right now in his hand, Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's Command, 2 awesome cards.
Yeah, his attacking just got a whole lot worse as well.
Yeah, the Elite showing up, a token showing up. He'll just pass.
This is a great game.
We got a good one in front of us here for Game 3, no doubt.
This is not the way I expected this to play out.
No, me either.
Just 10 creatures on both sides staring at each other.
Draw step. It's K command, probably. What did Ross draw? I can't tell.
Gonna nuke the Nettle Sentinel, make you discard.
Razor Verge Thicket. Okay. 2 more tokens.
More tokens.
Yep. It's another what it is, another creature in the graveyard. For Scavenging Ooze.
Yep.
Now, this part of things becomes really interesting, too, to me, because if you're Ross, sometimes you get in situations like this where you don't want to tip off your opponent and be like, hey, man, you could totally start attacking me, and that would be bad for me.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got 15 elementals, so you're looking at things, and it's like, yeah, let's just keep playing this like draw-go thing so I can find an Azuri
Yeah.
or something, you know? I don't want to tip you off that attacking would be pretty good right now, probably. So Ross is just going to pass.
Yeah, he pretends like he's thinking about attacking.
Yeah, but if you do that, you don't want to give away that he should be thinking about attacking.
Sure.
You know?
Well, I think you're trying to show strength.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I could be attacking here. I'm not scared of you swinging back. Like,
oh boy. Yeah, see, that's why maybe he wanted to get a little more aggressive going after the graveyard. Maybe, because now Tasigur has shown up, and now Tasigur can start to do its thing. Its thing, of course, being the ability to start drawing cards. So you see Ross is going to do a little bit of exiling here via Ooze. He's got to be careful. And this is with Tasigur on the stack, of course. So there goes Sleight of Hand. Tasigur in. Ross can remove his Nettle Sentinel to gain a life.
what an absurd game.
Pretty absurd one.
Yeah. And this Tasigur just makes things even more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Ross can use the mana from these elves. Going to get some cards out of the graveyard. Yeah, leave him with just a Scalding Tarn. So let's head back over to Ross. Again, Azuri is exactly what he needs. Or Cord or Company.
Yep, all good hits.
Elvish Archer would make things a little bit simpler by making his creatures into 2/2s. There's Razor Verge Thicket. He'll pass the turn back. Tasker activation, Teamer Battle Rage, Thought Scour.
Yeah, you basically always give them the Thought Scour, right?
Sort of.
Although the Teamer Battle Rage looks quite
I
mediocre.
think the Teamer Battle Rage is pretty bad on this battlefield. Also, I don't want to give him Thought Scour because I don't want him to chain into more tokens.
Yep. It's funny because we know that James Foerst already has a Teamer Battle Rage in his hand.
Yeah.
So he might just burn off one of these to create more tokens with the Battle Rage.
Yeah, I think I would give him TBR.
Sure. I could see that.
Yeah. Oh, his hand's not Teamer Battle Rage, it's Snapcaster. But Snapcaster's awful right now. Now he has a Teamer Battle Rage. What was that draw?
Looked like a Fatal Push, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
The players really need to help us out a little bit more with their draw steps.
Well, push is pretty good now.
Yeah, with the Snapcaster Mage?
Yep.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the end for Ross here. You know, James still might not attack this turn, but it opens him up.
It opens up the door in a big way.
Yeah.
I think Ross is going to eat the last 2 cards. Yep. Push will take care of Ooze. Now there's some counting to be done. Everyone? Oh, boy.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's everyone.
That's a lot of tokens, man.
But that is a lot of tokens.
That's a lot of
He
tokens.
might want to go Snapcaster Push, take out the Dwin in his elite.
Goodness. Yeah, Snap plus push on elite, attack with everything.
Yeah, or almost everything. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be everything. It can just be, I don't know, a dozen tokens.
Most attack with most things. Well, he'll even have 2 back.
Yep, 4 back.
For Colossus. So yeah, he can play super safe. Ross will draw. And Nettle Sentinel, sure. You see the difference now in card quality.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think it's important for James to start getting aggressive. He doesn't want to run into, you know, a collected company out of Ross that hits just a couple of an Azuri and a Lord.
Yeah, you don't want to give him the opportunity to run perfect.
Yeah, the Azuri are.
We ran out.
What do you mean we ran out?
We got a face down one now.
What do you mean we ran out? Who was in charge of bringing tokens to this
we
event?
ran out.
We're going to have to talk to someone about this.
Walking papers are being printed off right now.
Okay, I want to make sure there's consequences when people are not prepared for this eventuality.
19 tokens. How about 21?
I mean, obviously this was going to happen. There's tokens coming from off both sides of the screen.
Everywhere. I know Dylan didn't make top 8 this weekend, but didn't he? Take a look at him out there. Ross going to help out. There's the 2 new ones. And there's the Serum Vision. So draw a card. Gurmak Angler, Scry, not 1, but twice. Collective Brutality, Snapcaster Mage. Both very powerful magic cards.
Both fine here. Look at all those tokens.
That's a couple.
You've played on Moto when you've had tokens like this?
I actually have.
They end up being just tiny little specks that you can barely click on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to use the attack all button. Hope for the best.
Yeah. You're like, is this right? I don't know.
Don't have time to find out. I'm running out of clock.
Yeah, I'm just going to time out if I click on each one individually.
Yep.
Moto can't handle it either. It just starts lagging a lot.
Yeah. I think it's, and I think it's smart to be careful here. Because it looks like Ross is just about ready to extend the hand. At this point, you're just hoping that James doesn't, figure it out, I guess.
Sure.
That, you're basically clear for takeoff. You have to do something. It would just be so unlikely for him to lose this game. You see the Death Shadow is lined up with the Chameleon Colossus. They're having a show off, a showdown up there.
These two will look at each other.
Yeah. You're blocking me, right? Totally.
No, like I said, with so many counters, whatever, so many tokens, 19 or 21 or 4 billion, however many we're up to here, you just send in 15 of them. You deal a whole bunch of damage. You're very safe to any swing back.
Yeah, there's no. I think that's a really good point. Is with how the game is developed, you can do it over 2 turns. It doesn't have to be over 1. The way to get yourself in trouble maybe is to try to do it over 1 turn.
Yep.
You may not think of something. I like the 1-by-1 approach too. Just really let it sink in. Yep, this too. All right.
All of it. Oh man, this is great.
So 19 are attacking. Now these doofuses too. 2 Young Pyromancer, Snapcaster Mage, Tassiger, Death Shadow. Ross Merriam's board is about to be whittled away.
Yeah, I think Ross is just going to die here. You know, he's going to go through the motions, but it's possible the Teamer Battle Rage just kills him.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it doesn't, like,
possible and likely.
yeah.
But yes, like you said, even if it doesn't, if it's not this turn, it's the next one.
Yeah, Ross is going to lose just all of his boys here. He's still staring down a couple of blockers on the other side for the Chameleon classes. This game just shook out ridiculous. Just the double Young Pyromancer was perfect. He chained a whole bunch of cantrips into each other to make all of these tokens that we're seeing on the board. He was patient, didn't make any silly mistakes along the way, played it pretty conservative, and now it seems like there's no way he can lose.
Young Pyromancer may not be here for this matchup, but the fact that it can come in multiple matchups obviously makes it a pretty good card.
Yeah, and great against that Chameleon classes.
Yeah. So Ross is going to line up the blocks here, see if he can figure something out. For those wondering how our backup match is going, they are still in game 2.
Yeah, we might get to see a little of that one.
I didn't think we'd get to see a little of that one, given the timer on this one. We're almost to an hour, but
Yeah, I didn't think this one was going to shake out like this at all.
no, me either. Me either.
You know, it's a control mirror.
I think Ross is just trying to figure out, is there any way for me to get the job done here? We did get a quick update here. Craig, you want to let us know how this one went, the backup match?
How would I know?
Because it came into our headset.
Nah,
so
I'm
know,
trying to.
So you actually know.
I didn't hear anything. I did not hear anything.
We can repeat it if necessary.
I think my headset might be broken.
Oh, okay, that's weird. How can you hear me then?
You're sitting right next to me. You are sitting right next to me.
Okay, that must be what it is. Well, I'll make sure I talk loudly when I say this. Kazu Negri won his match 2-0.
I just don't learn.
Over, make sure I get Benjamin Nikolic. So Blue-Red Gift Storm has beaten Jeskai Control, both versions of it. And we'll be moving on to the finals here, I believe, against Grixis Death Shadow.
Listen, I'm picking against him for sure.
Really smart.
Yeah.
Opponent has discard, removal, quick clock. They've got all of it.
Yep.
See if it matters.
Some counter spells.
Teamer Battle Rage. 2 more tokens.
And that was definitely a mistake, battle raging the Death Shadow.
Yeah, it's a, let me check here. 13 minus 6 is a 7/7, so.
And Ross just doubled up his classes to make it an 8/8.
Yeah, sure.
You know, he needed to do it to the Tassiger.
Yeah. Yeah, live and you learn.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter.
I don't think so either. There's so many darn tokens on the battlefield. The only thing that can happen here is if something horrible happened and then Colossus just rumbled over for 8.
Yep.
Ross is out. I think Ross is going to end this turn at 1. As the dust clears on the battlefield.
But he's in a good spot now because he was able to deal with both young pyromancers.
Huge favorite.
Yeah.
Huge favorite.
Just needed to get those off the board. Now he's okay.
Are those elves still alive somehow?
Yeah, he left a couple behind so that he would still have some mana to work with.
Okay. If he has an out, I would be blown away.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
If he won this game, I would be. I don't even know.
It might be Collected Company into Izuri and
I legitimately don't know.
the
How about Basic Foerst? No? Not Basic Foerst?
the one where you tap 3 elves for 3 mana.
Heritage Druid?
Heritage Druid.
All right, fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe that wasn't even it.
Yeah, well, guess what? It wasn't there. And James Foerst going to win this match here over Ross Merriam, 2-1. Grixis Death Shadow going to take down Elves. And James Foerst will be moving on to the finals to play against Kazu Negri.
Just like I called it.